Oh man, happy birthday, boys! Are you excited? Podiversary. Are you excited?
I know Mayo can't wait.
Oh, who's Mayo?
I'm so excited that we've been doing this for a whole year.
Oh, that's Mayo.
He's been quietly sitting in the corner taking notes.
Man, I'm so excited it's our birthday, boys.
That's good enough, though, right? We'll blow out the candles after the episode.
All right, yeah, all right.
Cool.
Don't forget to open your presents.
Welcome, everybody, to Comrades, Cocktails, and Comics, the show where we get together, we drink together, but most importantly, we read together. My name is Snoop Lynch. With me, as always, is my co-host. He's right there. His name, Higginsturm.
Hey, that's me.
That's you, but shut up, because we have a guest this
Hey,
episode.
I thought I was supposed to do that this week.
No, I'm doing it.
This month.
Yeah, no, you did the intro last month. I got some really negative reviews about it, so I'm going to go ahead and take it back, if that's
All right.
okay. I mean, most of
But
the
I did
negative...
that really funny bit where I said I was you and you were me.
Well, that was the negative review. They're like, this is too funny. Like, we'll never be this funny.
I'll never get to laugh at the other parts if I'm only laughing at the first part. I understand.
Good, thanks. But you know who's laughing the most at that joke you did last month?
Our buddy?
Our buddy right here. His name's Mayo. Hey, Mayo.
Hey, guys.
Hey, don't be shy.
Okay.
Yeah. You're the bravest person I've ever seen. It's mostly the Batman mask you're wearing, but...
Dude, he's so Batman.
I try, you know.
Guys, he's wearing the Batman mask. That's the joke. Visual medium.
How is that Batman mask?
We took a picture. We might post it one day.
Yeah. It's all right. It's kind of tight. It kind of pulls in on the face, but that's all right.
You'll power through. It's fine.
Yeah, it'll be okay.
Yeah, no, it doesn't bother me. It looks good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can take it off if you want.
Okay, thanks. It was getting kind of hot.
Thanks for bringing it, though, because I honestly thought about buying one just for the opening bit, and I forgot, but
Yeah,
it's
I figured
okay.
you guys could at least use it in like a promo or something.
Yeah, and that we did.
No,
And
that we did.
People probably can't
We
wait to
might
see
post
that.
it.
All right.
I didn't think I posted the last one.
Hey, I'm a contributor. That's what I do.
Thanks, and I'm glad you're here to contribute this month when we talk about a very special book that you picked way back when we told you we'd get you on the show.
I'm an idea man.
Mm-hmm. And what was your idea?
My idea was to celebrate the first year of your podcast by reading about the first year that Bruce Wayne decided to be Batman.
That's right. And in shorter words, he means we're reading Batman Year One.
By Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. Mazzucchelli.
Well, yeah, more on that probably in a second.
Well,
but
no, it says by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli.
Higgins, we'll get to them. Let's take a moment to celebrate what we've done, and that's this podcast for a whole year.
A whole year.
A whole year.
Did anyone think we could do it?
I definitely didn't.
I believed in you guys.
That makes
but-
one person.
Yeah.
Cheers to that, Mayo.
He's only the first person. Oh, and we have birthday cake, guys.
Yep.
But we have it in a glass
Yeah.
because we drink things here.
It's all right.
It's called
It's not my favorite, but it's all right.
we have this thing called a birthday cake martini, and it is as colorful and
celebratory.
sweet as I guess you'd expect it.
Yeah, I think I'm more like the glass more than the drink itself, but
It's a pretty
is
nice
pretty.
Coca-Cola glass.
I feel
yeah.
like the look of the drink doesn't match its taste.
No, we could probably go less vodka, but I'll tell you what's in it right now. Just like, the bare minimum. You got your vodka. You got your half and half. You got your white chocolate liqueur. We used Godiva because that's what they had at the liquor store.
It's also what the recipe that I'm going to link recommended as well.
So, nice.
Thank you, Godiva. Godiva?
Godiva. Hey, we said it 3 times. It's okay.
Yeah, sponsor. You know that bit, Mayo, right? Where if we say something 3 times,
We
the
get
brand
money
has
from
to
them?
sponsor us legally.
That's a very good thing.
It's the only thing that keeps the lights on here at the studio.
And then what else is in this? There's amaretto.
Yeah, it's got a little
And then we put honey on the rim and then dip that in sprinkles.
Oh, is that what that is? That's honey?
That's honey.
How do you like it?
I've
like
liked
it.
the
I
sprinkles
like it.
and honey like more than the drink itself.
Yeah.
But like it could use less vodka.
It's
Maybe
just-
next time.
It's just creamy vodka at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I've had way worse, so
Yeah.
that's okay.
I'll
Is
take
that-
just straight shots
I
of
don't
the
know,
white
I've
chocolate
nev-
liqueur.
I've never had a White Russian, but it might be similar.
It's pretty similar, yeah, now that you mention it. I like White Russians a little more, but if I had to compare it to anything, I think you're right on the money. So yeah, maybe use a little bit of Godiva in that.
Godiva?
I still think it's Godiva, but
I think they use Kahlua in that. I'm not sure.
Be careful. If we say it one more time, they take their sponsorship back.
Oh, shoot.
The rule of threes.
Works both ways.
Yeah.
Works both ways.
It's pretty fair.
Man, this comic book cost 75 cents, guys.
Way back when. You want to get into that a little bit.
February 87. That's when it came out.
That's when it started, Higgins.
That's when it first came out.
1987.
Yeah, Higgins.
Man, we've been on an old comic kick here lately.
They're pretty good. We've been finding the good ones. A lot of them are just like
digging deep.
Yeah, a lot of them are just like heavy dialogue and nothing really interesting, and the artwork's kind of so-so. But this is probably one of the best of the 80s, which is when this came out in February 87, like you said, and then it ended in May 1987, same year.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, did you enjoy it? I bet you enjoyed it a lot back then when it was actually just part of the monthly Batman series.
Oh, you know I did. I read the first 403 issues before this one came out.
He did do a little bit of research.
I'm literally reading it off the page right now.
Still doing it. That's what. Yeah. So this is there was a monthly Batman series going on in the 80s. Same one, just from the beginning. And I guess sales were dipping, which seems to be a common thing in the 80s because.
Which age is that? The Silver Age or the Golden Age? I don't know.
It's an age of sorts, yeah. But so they wanted to. This was right after, and I didn't know this until I started doing a little bit of my classic research, Higgins. I got my notes pulled up right here. Let me just tell you that this came right off the back of a hot little story called Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh wow, I've heard of that one.
Mm-hmm. I bet we've all had. Have you heard of that?
Yeah. I've heard of that.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what it is?
It's it has to do with the Flash, right?
The Flash was in that, yeah. A lot of heroes were in that, actually. See, that was the problem, Mayo.
No, I'm thinking of Flashpoint. Crisis on Infinite Earths is different.
It's similar. Like Flashpoint, which was done, I guess, back in like 2010 or something like that, was a way to revamp the DC universe because there were too many characters and too many stories, and new readers just weren't going to keep up. And this was the first big event that did this for DC. The editors were like, no new readers can get on board because there's like multiple worths. There's like 80 different Supermans. Batman is either a murderer or a Nazi or neither. So what do we do? And that's when Marv Wolfman and George Perez, who were really hot at the time, they did like Teen Titans and stuff like that. They came up with this 12-part maxi series, whatever you want to call it, called Crisis on Infinite Earths. And that basically in canon took all the existing multiverses, got rid of them. So there's only like one Earth left. And so off the back of that, the editorial team at DC wanted to revamp the continuity of the characters that were still around. So they wanted to just start fresh with like new stories and new origins with Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman in particular. Those are like the three big ones.
The big three? The Holy Trinity?
And
can we say that?
Yeah, you can. Why
All
not?
right.
Yeah.
See, I like that. I like it when it's more simplified. You don't have all the crazy elements running around. I like it when there's just a core of. It's easier to follow.
Yeah, you can read. You can maybe take on 5 books instead of like 78 or however many.
25 like we used to try to do.
It's the same thing with Batman. I like Batman when he's simple. When it's like this, for instance, when it's just him fighting street level crime. Once he gets into the crazy, like, I had a problem with the Arkham Knight game because of that. Because he, it starts to get crazy. You know, Scarecrow is destroying the whole city. It's like world level events, and it's. I like my superhero simple.
Batman just can't do that. He's a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Although
think
he did kick a tree in half in this.
he did kick that tree really hard, didn't he? Yeah, man, it's probably a dead tree. He was gone for a while, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was winter.
Yeah, you're right. There wasn't any trees on
A
that.
lot of
leaves
key-
on that tree.
There's a lot of factors involved in him kicking down that tree. But yeah, I think basically how you guys feel about keeping Batman's origin simple and relatable and grounded. DC wanted to maintain that because as far as I like kind of found in reading about it, the Superman and Wonder Woman origins, like the new versions of that post-Crisis, they were kind of just left up to the teams they picked. Like you can kind of take that wherever you want. But with Batman, they wanted to keep the origin the same. So like the one that
His parents got killed.
yeah, well,
in
just
an alley.
that whole because Bob Kane and Bill Finger mostly Bill Finger.
Do you say Bill Finger?
Bill Finger.
Bill Finger.
Is that his name? Oh, that is his name.
That's a name.
What about Jerry Robinson? Don't leave out Jerry Robinson.
I don't know who that is.
It says adapted from the works of Bob Kane, Bill Finger, and Jerry Robinson.
Well, Higgins, we don't care about Jerry. We just got to a point where we care about Bill, all right? There's actually, this is a little side note, there's a great Hulu documentary on Bill Finger because for the longest time, Bob Kane's the one who got all the credit, but really Bill Finger's the one who came up with all the stuff about Batman.
I think I saw something about that.
Sneaky Bob.
I didn't watch it, but
yeah, that whole documentary is just really good at showing you how much of an asshole Bob Kane is.
Really?
I'm not saying he didn't contribute, but basically from the beginning.
more like Rob Kane, am I right?
See, I like that you're telling me this. It's informative.
Our jokes have only gotten so much better in the last year.
They grew with age.
Because I like Batman, but I don't know a lot of the history, the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah, I would watch that. You have Hulu, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like what about Bill or something like that. Like
What about Bill?
It's really really interesting because it was only like basically Bill Finger only got credit on screen at least when Batman versus Superman came out. So think about that. They created Batman in 1939. He didn't get credit on screen at least until 2016.
And then
That's sad.
And then at that rate, did he even really get credit for it?
Yeah, it's like the one movie you probably didn't want credit for.
It's like, can you leave me off this one, please?
He's like a Van Gogh or something like that. Like,
Yeah, so definitely check that out. But yeah, that initial story that they did back in 1939, I didn't know this until I read about it. That was only a 2-page story, and it was told in 12 panels, and that's it. And then after that, it's just Batman on adventures.
Yeah.
So they
Batman doing Batman things.
exactly
Adam West style.
so much Batmaning. So DC's idea back in the 80s when this was when this whole refresh was kicking off was we want to keep those elements, but we want to see a little more with that. And so they decided to they already had a team for Superman and Wonder Woman, but they needed someone for Batman. So that's when they turned to Frank Miller. And the reason they turned to Frank Miller was right before he worked with DC, and this was after he did The Dark Knight Returns, which is another famous storyline that everybody knows if you know anything.
This was after that?
Yeah, he did it after. He did.
Yeah, I love that. I love that one.
I haven't read that one. We might do it one time.
We'll do it sometime soon, probably.
I used to have a collection that had this and that in the same thing.
Have you read any of the new ones yet? Or I guess the newest one?
I have not.
I'm curious because apparently the second one's awful, and that was right after he went insane, Frank
Really?
Miller. And the third one's apparently better, but it's still called Dark Knight 3: The Master Race.
I liked the Dark Knight Returns because
Slightly
it
controversial.
introduces Robin as a girl, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, Carrie Kelly. I love that Robin. Yeah, yeah. Higgins will probably do that one eventually, but he did that before this. But also, and I think this is the main reason they turned to him to do Batman Year One was. Are you familiar with his work on Daredevil?
No, not at all.
A Man Without Fear?
He probably did that one too, but the main one that I'm thinking of is he came onto Daredevil at Marvel and wrote the storyline Born Again.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
And it's kind of the same thing as this, where it takes those elements of Daredevil's origin and it kind of either it tweaks it a little bit or just adds to it, and it's dark and gritty and real. Our friend Sean read it. He loves that
have to check
storyline.
that
One of my
out.
coworkers read it, and he said he likes it a lot.
Yeah.
Did you know that Daredevil and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles share the same origin story?
Yes. Yeah, it's something to do with the truck that
Yeah.
takes his sight is also maybe the truck that gave the turtles their mutation or something.
Yeah, it's like this radioactive waste falls off, hits him, and then falls into a sewer where some turtles are.
And so if he had just been a turtle, he probably would have been fine.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But they're both ninjas. You think that was also part of that whole?
Maybe. Does the radioactive waste also give you ninja powers?
Feel like testing that out?
We can try.
I know a guy. He can get us some waste.
Mr. Burns?
I got so much waste, guys.
But
So yeah, we got the Frank Miller, and you're shirking the Bill Finger of this cast, David Mazzucchelli. He's obviously the mastermind.
he does some pretty good work too. Yeah, actually, they had worked together before on a Daredevil story. I don't know. It may have been the Born Again one, actually. So they had been, he kind of knew he could trust him because Frank Miller did a lot of his own art back then as well. Like he did the art for The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, it looks like he must have been the artist because all the other people are just colorists, letterers, and editors, and I'm not going to mention them. They're not that important.
Actually, one of them is pretty important.
Richmond Lewis,
Yeah.
Todd Klein,
Todd Klein's probably.
Denny O'Neil.
Higgins, they're all important, aren't they? That's what you're getting at.
I said all their names.
That's as important as they'll get. David. Say it again, Higgins.
Huh?
What's his last name? David.
Let me look it up again. Richmond Lewis.
No. David Masu.
Oh, David Mazzucchelli.
That's the one. Yeah. So David Mazzucchelli, they had worked together before, and Frank Miller didn't want to do the art on this one. It kind of like stressed him out to do both. So he brought David in because he could trust him, and then David actually brought Richmond in, who is David actually brought. This happens from time to time, Mayo. David actually brought.
It's gonna be edited out.
Well, now it can't be. It's fine. David actually brought his wife, Richmond Lewis, in to do the coloring.
What?
I know.
Her name's Richmond?
Higgins, I'm going to need you to rethink some things if we're going to do our next book in March, all right?
I know it's 2020, but this was 1987. Women aren't named Richmond.
This one was.
They're named Gertrude.
Every woman.
In the
Every
80s.
woman in the 80s was named Gertrude. I know.
It made things very, very confusing.
I know people from 1987.
Well, don't count a good Gertrude or Richmond out because she did the colors. And was it you, Higgins, who mentioned that your version looked a little different colors-wise than mine?
Yeah, mine's like old.
Yeah, it's old. Well, I
And
think
yours look new.
I think you had the original reprint or whatever, which was apparently done on newspaper print, and for whatever reason, the colors didn't work the way they wanted them to.
Yeah.
And so when they reprinted it like 80 times, they redid the coloring. Still Richmond Lewis, Higgins. Can you believe it? Still a woman. So yeah, that's a
I
pretty...
want to meet a woman named Richmond. We'll have a life together.
You'll just call her Rich.
We'll run away.
Richmond.
No, I'll call it Richmond. No one's going to take that away from me or her.
I'm going to call her Gertrude. I'm bringing it back.
Oh, and that being said, I just realized that the commissioner of the police in this comic book, his name's Jillian.
Your whole world's turned upside down.
I have no idea what to think.
Is Jillian Loeb?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, which maybe... I don't know when Jeff Loeb was involved with the whole comics industry, but he's a pretty big name, so maybe that pulled from that. I can't say for sure, but I'm going to say it's 100% right. What
You
you
want
doing?
to talk about
Man, you going to get something? What you thinking?
comic?
No.
It's fine. We're going to keep recording.
Okay.
Do whatever you got to do. Take the headphones off if you need to, or carry them with you. You're just going to drink some vodka.
I want to hear.
Oh, he's about to make himself another drink.
Yeah.
You just going to make your own?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
So
Tell us what you're doing on the podcast. So I can-
I'm gonna drink some of this Godiva white chocolate liqueur.
Shit.
he's a guest. It doesn't count.
Okay.
Why? What's the?
If we say it one more time, we lose the
Oh, okay,
sponsorship.
okay,
But you're
yeah,
fine. You're
I
fine.
forgot.
No. You're fine. It's a guest. You don't count. I mean, you do count, but not on this.
A little bit of this in it and see where that takes me.
Some amaretto and. So this is a Mayo original.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bringing my own flavor.
All right. You let us know how that goes.
It's a white chocolate almond bar. That's what it's going to taste
Ooh,
like.
I like
Yeah.
That's good. I like that, Higgins.
Yeah.
Very good. Hopefully Mayo likes it too. So what were we doing, Higgins? We were talking about.
It's an almond joy.
We're getting into that old story. We're starting us out.
Ooh,
Old
that
Jim
is-
Gordon rides in on a train.
Pretty good.
It's a lot better than.
What we made, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. We don't pretend to be
I'm
experts.
sorry.
No, it doesn't offend me because Higgins is the bartender. So
I'm the bartender, and boy, am I great at it.
Hey, Mayo, you want to go ahead and pull that cable because you're probably going to get caught. All right, we're back.
Just like Batman, we lost our whole family, and by that I mean the last 5 minutes.
It felt more like 5. We may have lost like 15 minutes of the podcast.
There was a technical difficulty. Do you know when it cut out?
We cut out right when you were making yourself an almond joy. I don't know if we mentioned that after the recording cut out, but I'm mentioning it again that you make your own drink that you called the almond joy, and you've made one for me, which I appreciate. So thank you. I haven't tried it yet. 1 second. No, still thank you. It's good.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get right back into the book.
We're gonna dive into the synopsis. You did it,
I did a synopsis,
and now you can do a better one this time.
but
I
I'm
don't
not-
think the bad one,
What,
first
am I-
one was bad, but you can always do better.
Question: am I going to do a better one? Probably nope. Yeah, we don't need this. Basically,
He will become the greatest crime fighter the world has ever known.
and
It
by
won't be easy.
That was good. I didn't even do that last time. Did you come up with that?
Right off the top of my head.
You read it, didn't you?
Right off the top of the page.
Awesome. Yeah. It's
Right off the top of the page.
like we said before, it's about Batman in his first year being Batman, and he's not good at it. He's really bad at it, actually. He's terrible.
He's really bad.
But it's not also about that. It's also about our dear friend Jim Gordon.
That's my favorite part, actually.
Timothy?
Yeah.
Jimothy Gordon.
See, I think the title's a little misleading because it's Batman Year One, but Batman's only half the story.
Honestly, Batman's only really like a quarter of the story.
Well,
It's mostly about Jim Gordon.
I was going to say, like, Jim Gordon feels like the main character, and Batman, which this may have been intentional, because Batman's whole thing to the people of Gotham City, the criminals in particular, is he's like this phantom. Like, half of the people don't believe he exists.
Right.
So
And
maybe
the other half think he's an actual Batman.
Yeah, they think he's an actual creature.
and most people think he's insane, and that's probably 100% true.
I understand why they think there's a Batman out there, because there is a Batman in the DC universe.
Which I do love that in this comic, that they show scenes where they're like, I shot him, I did, but it shows like the bullets going through his cape.
That's great, yeah. So it adds, which that's what he wanted. His whole thing at the beginning of this, Bruce Wayne's side of the story in the beginning is he shows up after being gone for like 12 years, and he still doesn't know. He knows he wants to basically put fear into the minds of criminals or whatever to keep them from doing a crime, but he doesn't know how, because he originally in this starts dressed up like a real thug with a beanie and a scar, and he gets stabbed by the people he's trying to help.
Oh yeah, all those prostitutes.
So many prostitutes.
Well, I guess they're prostitutes, but
they're definitely prostitutes.
Yeah.
one's like
Which-
one's like
12
5.
years old. It really reminds me of Taxi Driver in that scene, because it's the child prostitute.
Just a regular, I almost
Pink-haired.
said Judi Dench, and that's not right.
Yeah, Judi Dench.
I don't know that actress's
I'd
name.
watch a movie with her being a 12-year-old prostitute.
Jodie Foster?
Jodie Foster?
Which-
Jodie Foster, thank you.
Also introduces our third main character, Selena Kyle.
Oh yeah, the
That's
Catwoman's
right.
in this too.
She's also a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did, like, because the thing is, I thought about this after, as far as Gotham City goes, because, the whole point of this story is it's the worst place in the world before Batman shows up. And after Batman shows up, it's still pretty much the worst place in the world, but it's a little bit better because not every single street is filled with prostitutes like it is in the beginning of this. Because that's all we really see. Like, again, I think it's intentional to show us only the worst parts of this whole city, because everything that we see is just 12-year-olds on the
it's
street.
more like that's that one part of town.
Oh yeah, the East End.
But
Yeah.
I think the point of showing just that is to show that, like, this is how bad things are. That's why Batman is necessary.
Right.
Because that's Batman's whole thing is he's around because he has to be, and his whole goal is to make himself unnecessary. His whole goal is to eliminate crime so he doesn't have to be Batman. And he doesn't care what he has to do to get to that. They pretty much hold true to that in this because he does suck at being Batman,
He gets stabbed and shot.
but he just keeps getting back up. And that's always, that's probably one of the greatest characteristics of Batman. Like, that to me is what makes him resonate with so many people who don't even really care about comics that much.
That's what he's actually listening to in his like Batman cowl. He's got the Chumbawamba song going the entire time. He gets knocked down, but I get back up again.
It's the only positive part of his day.
What I like about that first outing that he goes with the prostitutes is that he's kind of naive, because at that time he's not planning to attack anyone or anything. He's just scouting. He's just going out to see like how the streets are. And he lets his emotions get the better of him, and that's why he attacks the guy.
Yeah, you're right. It was just supposed to be reconnaissance, and I like that. Like, the art in this is really great. It's like that whole city is just disgusting and grimy, and I wouldn't want to live there.
Is that same Swamp Thing art though, where like colors just don't mean anything?
Yeah, and we talked about that and it may or may not be in earlier in the episode, but the colors of the version you read are like the original colors, and they look the way they do just because of the print that they were on. If you read like the version I have, the superior version, Higgins, the one I paid good money for, Mayo did too. You would probably get a better
paid
sense.
$0 for it.
That's right. But yeah, I think the colors are. It's still kind of like that. A lot of stuff does look a little weird for no reason, but I think it's got more of a. It's more distinct and clear. Like you know what a
I
sky
want to see
is.
the version you have because I'm having a hard time imagining these crazy colors.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like skies are green, people are red.
Oh, okay. It's just like old timey, like
Old
80s
timey
comics.
comics where like none of the
Yeah.
colors really fit what they're
Okay,
sitting on
yeah.
top of.
I know what you're talking
Just a
about.
budget thing. Like that time the Hulk was gray for a little bit because it was more expensive to have green ink or something like that. That's a fact.
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of.
yeah, I've heard that.
So Batman's bad at his job.
He's real bad. He's not even Batman yet. He needs he's like, what's gonna put fear in criminals'
So
hearts?
Batman
Yeah,
is
that's
Batman is
true.
bad at his job.
He's not Batman yet. He's man with a leather jacket and a scar.
I got what you did, Higgins. It's okay.
Batman.
Batman.
He does. Yeah, he's a real thug, isn't he? But it's not good enough. And
Not a leather jacket, an army jacket.
oh yeah,
He's a veteran.
Yeah. That's why I said it reminds me of Taxi Driver, because he's got the army jacket and there's a child prostitute, which might be intentional because this came out in the 80s and Taxi Driver was 70s.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, I could see them pulling from that. Some real inspiration. Yeah, I like this beginning. It's mostly just like him walking around being like, oh, what do I do to scare people? Oh, look, a bat. Which I don't know how people are people really scared of bats? I
Man,
don't.
if a bat like comes up on you, because I was living in Nebraska and like a bat flew around in our house and I was like, man, that's pretty scary. Then you're like, yeah, that bat was kind of scary, but like the fact that it might have rabies and if it touches me at all, I have to get a rabies shot. That's even scarier.
'Cause
And they mentioned that in the book too.
Because the one
A
thing,
bunch of people got attacked by bats and then they all had to get rabies shots in their butt
That's
and
true.
they couldn't sit down for a long time.
There's a lot of mystery with bats because they're blind, but they're still hunters, you know? Like,
just like Batman's just like Batman's blind to how bad he is at this job.
exactly.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, and also, I mean, that one bat was really scary because it just kind of crashes through his window.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's,
Oh, now
it
you're
have to
getting
be a
into
big bat.
As a big bat. Yeah, and from there we see kind of more like the classic Batman stuff. But even then, it's very early days because the costume's pretty like nowadays he's got more of like an armor shell going on.
Yeah, he's got old gray George Clooney Batman costume going on.
Oh no, it's not nearly that shiny. Doesn't even have the bat nipples on it. But yeah, it's like just a cloth material. It's very reminiscent of the very original Batman
Yeah.
design from the 30s. And that's just a nice little homage to that. And it makes sense why because he does get shot a lot even after taking on the mantle, and it's because his suit sucks, but also his tech is pretty bad. Like he has batarangs, but other than that, he's got nothing else going on. The most high tech thing he has is that device that calls a bunch of bats.
Oh, that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
And the whole time it was on the bottom of his shoe, so I just assumed like, flying shoes. And then it just like called a bunch of bats. I was like, he's just gonna use these flying shoes.
Which-
and then like bats.
I believe we saw in The Dark Knight Returns, right?
Flying shoes, right?
I don't have enough information to say no, so yes.
Did he call the bats or did he use flying shoes?
Dark Knight Rises, the movie.
Oh, he probably did. Oh, I think he did that in like Batman Begins.
Flying shoes
That
or
would make
bats?
sense, right? The bat thing.
Okay.
I think he did that
Now
in
I'm
like a
caught up.
warehouse or something. We'll go back and rewatch those movies and then we'll find out. And I'll add it in this later on.
I don't watch movies.
Let's
I
talk
only
about
read
some Jim
comic
Gordon.
books.
We're talking about a lot of Batman.
Yeah, we're working
Not
our
a
way
lot
through
of Gordon.
Batman's story. And
Are we
then
doing Batman first, then Gordon?
We
we
really
just kind of fly by the seat of our pants?
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Jim Gordon a little bit?
I do, because there's a lot going on here between that. He comes to Gotham. He doesn't necessarily want to be a police officer, but
But he's got to pay them bills. He's
Yeah.
got a baby on the way.
there's a line in the comic that says it's either this or bagging groceries. So
Probably bag groceries in a friendlier town.
yeah,
I feel like it'd pay the same.
yeah.
And he's a lieutenant.
He's a lieutenant, just straight up. Yeah. The Jim Gordon stuff in this is the highlight for me. And
Oh, yeah, he's tight.
it's really well done.
And he's got that mustache right from
And-
the get-go.
In the animated movie, he's voiced by Bryan Cranston, which is a very good sell, I think.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, they did make an animated version of this where he still kicks down that tree.
I suggested that Higgins just watch that instead of reading.
It is pretty much a like panel for panel remake. Yeah.
That's all right.
It's good. You should watch it. But the Jim Gordon stuff in this is great to me as it is. Maybe just because it's the best Jim Gordon characterization I've ever read. Jim Gordon for me, like typically, like growing up, maybe watching the animated series or whatever, he's still a big part, but he's mostly just that guy who
Calls Batman.
Yeah, he's the
calls
guy
Batman.
who calls him. He's just the background character.
He's the
You don't
exposition, and they've done more with that in, like, say, The Killing Joke,
Like
like
the Gotham.
But this is definitely the highlight of him because it's an origin story for him too.
Yeah.
It's because he's not commissioner in this right away. He's just like Higgins said, he's a lieutenant, and
Lieutenant Gordon.
And it's him fighting his own battles and having his own, problems
The
that he has
police
to face.
people are bad guys.
Yeah.
His partners.
Detective Flass.
Yeah, his partner wears a Gotham High Leatherman jacket, and he's a cop. He's an old man. You don't wear those outside of high school. That's a fashion faux pas.
you do if you peaked in high school, Higgins.
He's obviously peaking right now. He's selling drugs to bad guys. He's getting cuts.
Higgins is like he's at the top of his game.
He's
I don't
at
know.
the top of his game.
You think he gets a patch for like best drug dealing cop on his Letterman jacket?
He gets peak, and then Jim Gordon gets beat up by him and his other fools, the other bad cop guys, because
Yeah.
Commissioner Loeb's like, do this thing while I'm not here, and then he does that thing while he's not there,
Yeah.
and then Jim Gordon's not today, guy.
The side of Jim Gordon's story is just as important as Batman's because, and Mayo said, like, this could have been called something else besides Batman Year One, and I think he's right because the whole thing with both these stories running parallel and going back and forth is it shows how each of them are vital to Gotham improving as a city. Like Batman can only do so much as a vigilante. Jim Gordon exists to kind of get the police department in check and actually make sure they're helping people instead of just taking advantage of them.
Oh, and we get some Harvey Dent. I know we didn't mention that. We haven't mentioned him yet, and he's in there pretty good too.
Yeah, he's actually
He knows Batman before Jim Gordon knows Batman.
Yeah, that's right. He hides him at one point. Yeah,
I know.
He's a pretty good guy at this before he gets his face burned off.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
Harvey Dent though. That guy's pretty good. He's the
Which
White
I'm
Knight.
I'm not sure, but I think that's another Frank Miller story. That
Two-Face Year One.
yeah, it might be the Long Halloween. I'm not sure.
I feel like Jeff Loeb maybe did that, but I don't know. That being said, there are continuations of this particular story.
Long Halloween.
Well, no, there's like a Batman Year 2 and Year 3, apparently. I've never heard of them, but I looked it up and they exist. So maybe we'll cover that one day. Maybe we won't.
Maybe next year.
Maybe Two-Face won't be handsome anymore. Will you still love him, Higgins?
I'll love at least half of them.
Good enough for me. Yeah, I really like this side of the story of showing Jim Gordon not only as, again, that character who kind of helps bring Gotham back into the light, but also, just like Batman, he's maybe not the best guy for the job because he does make some mistakes along the way. He cheats on his wife.
Man, I was like so pissed that Jim Gordon cheated on his wife, and then he kind of makes up for it by the end.
Yeah, but I think that's another thing that's sort of humanizing about these characters is that they make mistakes. They're not like it's a real takeaway from the idea of the superhero that they're like pure, great, amazing guys. It kind of puts it to where anybody can be a superhero. Even if you do make some mistakes, you can still do good things.
And to be fair to Lieutenant Gordon, that cop is a fox. She is an attractive cop, and she's smart too.
Yeah.
He's literally just sitting in his office, and she's like, this thing's like, this is Batman. Like he pretty much fits Batman to a T.
Yeah,
and you're like, she's 100% right.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, man, it's like I don't even have to work. I'll just let her do all the hard stuff. And then I was gonna say something, but that would have
I
been
thought you were
really
going
bad.
for like a sexual innuendo or something, but no,
Yeah.
you're gonna let it pass.
I'll just say it. And then he gave her the hard stuff.
Ah,
All right, we did that.
I'm not gonna edit any of that, so it's really funny, really sells.
I do like how it shows how meticulous that Jim Gordon can be with his, after he gets attacked by Flass and his thugs, which are, I guess they're also cops. They're thugs and cops.
The thops.
They're thops. But, he doesn't outright attack them, he kind of follows them around, sees where they go, sees where they hang out, looks for weaknesses, studies their patterns. And it shows Jim Gordon to be kind of a smart dude in that respect.
And then he hits that guy with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Right, and then he handcuffs him without any clothes on.
Oh, that was pretty good. Yeah,
I was like, man, got
And-
that guy.
When he finally does get to fight Flass, he it shows his honor because he could just shoot him. He could just, when he finally does fight him, he holds back. He doesn't like hurt him. He doesn't hurt him as bad as he could.
He just
He
humiliates
drops his
him.
weapons, and he even gives Flass the advantage by giving him the baseball bat and
Yeah.
throwing it to him.
And I think that's I think he's smart. I think he did that for a reason, and that reason is because he knew that if he didn't do something, they were just gonna come at him again. Because he's not gonna stoop to their level. That's not what he's here for. But he does know he has to play this right, and so by basically beating up the biggest guy on the the main guy on the force, in a way that humiliates him so bad that he won't even admit to it.
Yeah, he stripped him naked and left him handcuffed in the snow.
And it's just, I feel like he did that because he knew that was the best way to get them to leave him alone. And now he can kind of start improving the city the way that they should do, but they're not. Because he becomes the poster boy for the Gotham PD. He's always on TV. People are always talking about him. And that's smart too, because then they can't touch him because it makes them look good. And also, since he's in the limelight, if something were to happen to him, people would investigate it. So
Yeah, internal affairs.
Mm-hmm.
They're all over this book. And then what? We see some good Batman stuff. Well, kind of good. He's getting better.
he's not getting shot
He has a
as
suit.
much.
He has a suit. He does get punched and hit by a TV.
Oh yeah, I like that little interaction because it's him learning, and because he almost kills that one guy by accident,
And he's
so
like, I'm not a killer.
yeah, so he has to hold on to him while all those other guys just like beat the crap
yeah.
out of him.
The
And-
burglary when they're on the fire escape.
And it's these moments that show how bad the city is because it's like a voiceover or whatever that you read. He mentions like, this kid sounds like he's 15,
Yeah,
and he's
young guy.
trying to murder me. So Batman is very important for this city, and he's just trying to get them to realize that. Trying to think of any other like any other big points you guys wanted to kind of touch on in the story.
The part with like Loeb schmoozing up with Falcone. Like we know Commissioner Loeb's a bad guy, but he's like the main bad guy. Falcone's like the big mob boss in the city, and he's schmoozing up with him at a dinner. And Batman's like, "You guys have eaten too good.
Stop it.
Stop it."
Yeah.
And then the other part was when he's like getting attacked by the crazy SWAT people, and there's a cat in the basement, and he's like, he punches that guy in the face for trying to shoot at the cat. Mm-hmm. I like that. That was pretty good. I'm sure Gary loved that part.
My cat Gary.
Yeah.
He's walking around
We've
somewhere.
mentioned Gary before.
If I see him, I'll toss him out a window so he's safe.
Yep, exactly.
No, I forgot about that SWAT team bit because like Batman makes his big move on the mob and the commissioner by just kind of saying, "Hey, I'm here. You better shape up."
But
And-
before that, let's talk about his whole attack on the mayor's.
ball.
Yeah, the ball, like not even the ball, just the dinner he has. Isn't that right?
Man, that's what I just said.
Oh.
He never listened to me. It's bad enough Higgins never listens to me. Now I've got two people on the show not listening to me. But what'd you want to? Because I was saying like it's his big move on the underworld is he's coming straight up to the main mob boss and just saying, "Hey, I'm here. You better get your act together."
You better quit it.
Right,
Yeah.
because in that moment, the commissioner there is taking a call from Gordon, and that's when Batman's listening outside, and he's like, "Oh, Gordon, I've heard that name. All the right people seem to hate him." That he realizes that Gordon can be an ally to him, and I think that's a really important part in the comic. And at that point in the comic, the commissioner he likes Batman because it draws attention away from what they're doing. But then as soon as Batman does that attack, the entire thing flips and he's like, "No, we got to get rid of this guy."
Yeah, it's a big point in the book because it is that beginning of that relationship that we all. Because I've watched that movie that the animated movie, but it's been so long, so I kind of forgot how important the forming of this bond was for the story. And going back and reading it now, it's something I kind of realized you don't get a lot of in other Batman stories, which is fine because like you don't need to rehash the same things over and over again, like how we see his parents murdered in that alley every other movie.
Oh, I love that though. It's
I
my
hate it
favorite
so
scene.
much. They even put
The
it in-
pearls falling on the floor.
Even put it in Joker. There's no need. Just no need for it. Anyway, different tangent, different day. But yeah, that relationship is. It was nice to kind of go back and see those first steps.
I like that. This and everything. It's like, oh, did you know that his parents were murdered?
We all know his parents were murdered.
But did you know that his parents were murdered?
Why did we see it in Joker? We saw it 3 years ago. Remember that time that Thomas Wayne tried to beat up a homeless man in an alley?
You poked the bear, Mayo.
Did you know that his parents were murdered?
He's barely even Joker. I said it. I don't care. It's
Or
pretty
did
good.
you know Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered?
Not until I read this. This is his first year.
It's basically the 89
Okay,
version.
we talked about his affair because that's like the whole, right?
Yeah.
We talked about that
I was
because that's
okay
like the
with
whole like third and fourth issue
What's the lady cop's
for
name?
Jim Gordon, and I did like
Essen?
it because like they use it as a blackmailing point for Jim Gordon, and you're like maybe they're gonna get him.
Yeah, that's right. They're like, hey, if you don't tell...
They're
if-
like, look at this picture, and like if you don't like get the Batman, we're gonna.
Oh yeah, and then he stops and he comes clean with his wife.
Well, yeah, he talks
and-
to his wife, and I was like, man, this shows Jim Gordon's like character.
Yeah.
He knows he was a bad guy, but he got ahead of that other bad guy by just telling his wife that he's a cheating.
And then when they do
Cheating
call,
punk.
Barbara's just like, "Oh yeah, I already know that."
I'm a little upset, but
he's
I
on the
have a-
futon.
She says, "Don't bother me again. My husband sucks."
Yeah. He never stopped smoking. Which I guess this made me remember a thing about Jim Gordon's life, and that's just like the wife's never really around by the time that Batgirl was in the picture.
Yep.
Is this why? Did they just get a divorce?
I'm imagining he's just married to the job.
Well, you get that though, Higgins, right?
Yeah.
You love your job. You love podcasting.
I love podcasting. I can't get enough. I would make so many.
He never leaves the studio. Like even after I put all the mics and everything up, he just sits there and waits
I
for the
just
next
sit in the
month.
chair and wait for the next month.
I don't pay him, but you know,
I mean, if I don't move, then I don't have to buy any more food.
it'd be rude of me to ask you to leave. So you're fine, and he's fine too. Like he knows what's important. He just come clean to his wife, but only after he's kind of cornered. But hey, would I do any different? I don't know. Higgins mentioned that woman's a fox, so
God, jeez.
depends on the situation, I guess.
As far as like comic book characters go in the late 80s, she is a fox.
10 out of 10.
Much more attractive than Selena Kyle in this.
I think Selena Kyle's pretty attractive. I like the shaved head.
It's not the shaved head I have a problem with. It's just like the shape of a rectangle.
That was one thing I was kind of glad. You know, we were talking about rehashing stuff earlier. Stop murdering his parents in that alley. Anyway, I'm glad they didn't do the typical Catwoman Batman romance in this. I thought they were going to. They set it all up, but
the
they
back
didn't.
and the forth.
Yeah, they don't really interact. Like, he saves her that one time when she's already become Catwoman. I do like this aspect of it where he inspired her to become Catwoman.
Yeah. In like a weird way, because she's like, man, I would love for them to talk about me and not Batman. She's like, oh man, I scratched that guy in the face. Maybe next time I should kill that guy because they're still talking about Batman more than me.
Yeah, it's this thing of she hates, like, you know, she hates the cops. She hates that pimp on the street. Like, she hates all of it too. But up until this point, she didn't know how to make a difference or how to do anything or how to change her life or her friend's life. After seeing Batman doing what he's doing and how it's having an effect on the whole city, she's like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll just be a different animal.
She'll be like, yeah, I can do that. I've had all these sweet kicks this whole time, and I never knew how to use them.
But now I do. I've got claws now.
I got sweet kicks
Man,
and claws.
Wachow.
heel toe. Yeah. And you do see kind of that first blossom of a relationship or whatever, because he saves her and then he dips out and she's just like, ooh,
Oh, look at that
I don't know,
guy.
he's got wings, or is it a cape? I don't know.
I don't know.
But I'm glad they didn't go through with it, because I've seen it so many times, especially in recent years, because whenever Catwoman shows up, that whole story just takes over. And I'm probably going to see it again in Matt Reeves' Batman. Does this date this episode? Yes. But still, I'm going to see it again. And
Matt Reeves, the Batman?
Matt Reeves' The Batman, yes, with Robert Pattinson.
All right. I just want to make sure we dated it precisely.
2020.
Because who knows how many more times Matt Reeves is going to make a Batman movie.
we're definitely going to keep getting Batman movies until we die. So, yeah, we'll date this one. But no, like the Catwoman stuff's pretty good. I think that's the only reason I like it is just, again, he inspires her and just classic stuff. This is a classic Batman tale. So I really liked it a lot, I think.
I did too. Do you want to tell everybody how much you liked it with numbers and or letters?
Maybe, Mayo,
well, there's the final part we didn't talk about, which was the kidnapping of Jim Gordon's infant.
That's right.
Yeah, his baby.
I forgot about that, yeah.
That's the only thing we didn't talk about is that, which is what brought finally Bruce Wayne and Jim Gordon together.
Yeah, because, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I completely forgot, but I remember it sticking out to me is he may already know who Batman is. It's left a little ambiguous because Bruce Wayne figures out that they're going after Gordon and his family because he's the guy on the motorcycle.
Right.
And gets shot by
Gordon. No, by Gordon. Or no, maybe it's by...
Barbara shoots him.
No, Barbara doesn't shoot him. She has the gun on him.
Yeah, she's got him at gunpoint.
And he's like, you're just going to have to trust me. I'm not going to let anything happen to your baby.
Well, then Gordon shoots him. Somebody shoots him.
I do love that scene because Gordon takes his motorcycle and jumps off. And then Batman jumps on a bicycle.
That's what happened.
And he catches him.
Gordon shoots.
I do love this frame. This is probably my favorite frame in the entire comic. It's Bruce Wayne just getting on a bicycle.
Yeah, and... Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but he does catch him on a bicycle because he's basically because the kid falls, like he throws the kid off the bridge or whatever, and Batman dives in and catches him, and that's where it's left a little ambiguous because he gives him back to Jim Gordon, and they're right across from each other, and he's just like, I can't see a thing without my glasses.
Oh yeah, you better go.
Yeah, so it's like, but I mean, surely he kind of. I mean, I don't know. I don't wear glasses. If someone was standing right next to you, could you recognize them?
That's what he was doing, Snoop.
Okay.
He was saying, like, I'm coming up with an excuse not to know who you are.
Did we discuss last episode how I need things to be right in my face?
Right, because he's still going to have to fill out, like, a police report and stuff like that. So he has to have an excuse. You know what I'm saying?
Well, also, he's like, Batman's important. I shouldn't just rat him out.
Right.
Snitches get stitches.
Yeah. Right? That was like the other panel they took out where he's just Batman going like this a lot where he's punching his fists together.
And then Jim Gordon's like throwing up some like rock symbols and saying snitches get stitches.
Wouldn't Batman be saying that though?
Nah.
Oh, wow. Twist.
Yeah.
No, I forgot about that part, but you're right. That's pretty important. Again, like I think that's actually really interesting to just from the beginning having Jim Gordon know who Batman is. Like, that just shows how much trust he puts in him from the beginning. And that's important, Mayo. Trust in any relationship. That's why I'm fine with leaving Higgins here in the studio month after month. I don't think he's going to go anywhere.
You know what I trust?
Yeah.
My rating?
That Mayo's going to give a better rating than you.
Okay, wait, what was your rating?
I didn't give one
yet.
You
go first.
Yeah, are you familiar with our rating system?
Guess first.
Just
say whatever you want. And that gives a rating for the book.
Now, when he says say whatever you want, we kind of like hope you pick something to do with the book we read.
The book, yeah.
So like 3 batarangs out of 5 or whatever. You don't have to do that one. That's just an example. But you also can just say whatever you want. It's not that important. Unless it's something that Higgins doesn't like, because he will tell you that he doesn't like your rating.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you it's dumb right in your face.
I'm going to give it, let's see. Oh, I chose it, so you guys already know that I love this book. So I'm going to just give it 5 premarital affairs out of 5.
Man, I do love that.
How many orgasms is that out of 10?
Premarital, well, no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Premarital, because that's pre-marriage.
Oh, you're right, yeah. Do you want to change it or you want to go with it anyway?
Yeah. Let me think of the word. Prenatal.
Because that's pre-baby.
Before?
It definitely was before baby.
Okay, so I'm going to give this 5 prenatal affairs out of 5.
Do you think that's the real reason he sent her away? Because he knew? It's like, oh no,
it's
another
like
one.
This baby's going to suck.
The whole book he's talking about, I wish I didn't have this baby.
Yeah, because that one ends up becoming like a serial killer. His son, yeah.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy G.
He's like, I don't want to bring a baby into this world. What was I thinking?
Why would you want to bring a baby into that city? That city's awful.
Yeah.
Even after Batman. Maybe worse because of Batman?
Probably worse because of Batman.
The Joker wasn't there until Batman was, so.
Yeah.
Higgins, what are you going to give this book, though?
Oh, wow.
I know you didn't think this was going to happen, did you? Now, Higgins, not a lot of pressure, but this is the first year of our podcast. Maybe the last year. So, just in case, give this a pretty good rating. Again, no pressure, though.
I'm going to give it 1 birthday candle, but with like the stripes and like, you know, the stripes that spin around it with colors. And then when you blow it out, it's one of those birthday candles that lights back up again. So you're like kind of mad at it, but you're like, oh, you got me.
I get to do it again.
Yep.
Yeah. What's on the birthday cake? Is it Batman?
No, just the candle.
Oh, wow. It's just the candle.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty good candle then.
Yeah.
All right.
Out of 1 candle exactly like it.
Oh, so wait.
1 out of 1.
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it, Mayo?
So it's either 0 or 1. It's like binary.
Yeah.
It's either
So
on or it's off.
So it's a good thing I liked it.
So it's on.
So it's a good thing I liked it.
Well, it's off for a second, but then it's back on.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, I like this book. It's like anything else. You've read one Batman story. You've read a lot
It's
of them.
like anything else.
Well, so
I like this. It's like anything else.
well, okay. So, I mean, it's Batman. You know Batman. Like this whole story is about Batman's origin. We've all read it.
It's about Jim Gordon.
It's about Jim Gordon too, and that is a great part of it. But yeah, I mean, like even considering all the parts, that's like, yeah, I've seen or read this 1,000 times. It still had a bunch of new stuff for me to appreciate. Again, that and just detail to appreciate. Like going more into the relationship between Jim Gordon and Batman, I really love, and also just showing Batman not being great in the beginning and having to work at becoming who he is. I that's what it does for me, and for that reason, I'm gonna give it 3 bat symbols on 1 Letterman jacket.
Okay, I like that.
Thank you. Higgins, you okay with that one?
I guess so. I only half listened.
Cool. Then that means I'm done.
I was listening.
Hey, so we read something next month, right?
Higgins, we read something every month.
Higgins, do you have anything you want to plug? You want to talk about your new tour?
You should plug this podcast in case people want to listen to it.
I'll plug it.
Cool.
Where can people find you on social media?
Oh, are we doing that part now, or are we telling what we're reading next?
We'll tell them the social media thing since Mayo queued it
Oh,
up.
man. Yeah, we can do that.
All right, do
man,
it.
I have Twitter. You better believe it. Snoop has Twitter. We got Instagram. Mayo has things, but
I got nothing.
Twitter is Mike Higgins 93. Snoop's Twitter is Snoop_Lynch. You can find me at the gram at JSturb93, and you can find Snoop at the same thing I just said for Snoop earlier.
And
Snoop
if you want
_Lynch.
you want to hear from me, more from me, guys, you go down to your local library and ask for me.
All right.
He's there.
He'll
If
be
you,
at all of them.
if you pick a book out of the top shelf, his face is on the other side and ready to answer any questions you might have.
And then if you just want to ask us a question, like, you know, like not on those things, we have a Gmail, yourcomrades@gmail.com.
Yep, that's our Gmail, and that's actually the easier way to reach me.
Oh
'cause
yeah, 100%.
Yep, I've given up social media. It's still there, so you can message me. I just wouldn't see it probably, but I will see your Gmail.
I think you guys gonna need to get Jerry on this podcast. He's all about some comrades.
Didn't we mention a
We
Jerry
can get
earlier?
that stuff. We'll get plenty of
Yeah, that's right. If you want to be a guest,
just like say anything.
Yeah,
and
just-
we'll put you on there.
I'll put so many words that you say into this mic right here. You can,
Right
and
here,
again, you
right
can
there.
let us know either in person or on yourcomrades@gmail.com.
And the alcohol's free for you, so like,
Except you know who you are.
yeah.
Do better.
Hey, next month we have International Women's Day,
Shouldn't
so we're
you-
gonna read something called Bitch Planet.
Oh wait, start that again. Maya, what'd you have to say?
No, I was gonna say, should you ask for maybe listener submissions of things that they would like to hear you guys talk about?
Oh, that they want us to read and or talk about.
Yeah, suggestions.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah, we
we
say that
we take that
sometimes.
for sure. Yeah, and again,
Anything. Just send us anything.
we'll read anything.
I will read anything.
I'll read your fan fiction, but it has to have pictures. I'm pretty strict on that. If it doesn't have pictures, I'm not interested.
Yeah, get out of here.
And make them as graphic as possible, please. Please,
But you know what I'm excited about?
please.
International Women's Day.
I know you've been waiting all year for it.
Man, I've been planning on it. March 8th can't come soon enough.
What are you going to do that day?
It's not even February, and you're already thinking about March.
That's
I
how
like
I'm-
it.
Mayo-
I like the energy.
Mayo,
I
it
like
is-
the enthusiasm.
It is February 1st.
You know what? And honestly, if every day could be International Women's Day, I would have it that way. But I can't because it's on March 8th.
It's on March 8th, and that's the day they picked. They could have had more.
And that's the day that this podcast is going to come out. And on this podcast, we are going to talk about the thing that Higgins will say right here, right now.
We're going to read this comic book called Bitch Planet Volume 1.
The comic book's called Bitch Planet, but we're going to read volume 1 of that comic in case anyone wasn't clear on that.
Yeah, the comic's called Bitch Planet.
It doesn't sound like it'd be very like women friendly, but it's
Parental-
just
But I promise it is.
Parental guidance advised if you're under 13.
No, we
Get
say
your parents' permission.
to listen to this podcast.
we can say the words. I asked everybody's moms.
No. Get their parents' permissions to listen.
No, I
You
asked,
can say whatever you want.
No, I asked all of their moms. They said it was okay.
Okay.
Don't tell him that.
As long as you got it.
No, I talked to every single one.
All right. That'll hold up in a court of law, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's recorded, so it'll be fine. Yeah, we're gonna read Bitch Planet, as Higgins said.
Who's that by?
Kelly Sudaconic.
Hey, there you go. You had it up there.
I didn't. I memorized it
Oh, man.
because that's how much I care about International Women's Day.
I love women.
But yeah, it's Kelly. Here. But Kelly Sudaconic and Valentine.
That's a
De-
bold stance.
Oh, there's only 10 issues.
Well, we're gonna read the first volume of that 10-issue run, and it's by Kelly Sudaconic and Valentine De Landro. So yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about this. I've heard about this book, but I don't really know much about it.
I've heard people talk about it. There's like fights and
And women,
dystopias. You know, I love a dystopia. Almost as much as a utopia.
and almost as much as you love women.
Almost as much as a fruitopia.
That's a lot of love, and we can't wait to give it next month, March 8th. I have to deliver that episode on that date now.
Oh, you're right. That's awesome.
I don't really like that, but I'll do it for the women.
Sorry about March 1st, guys. It's a good day, too.
It's,
What's on March 1st?
It's pretty good, but it's not as good as March 8th, and we hope that you'll be there with us. But until next time, I'll say the thing that I say, which is cheers, guys. Mayo's our guest. He'll say something. Say
Yeah.
say bye, Mayo.
Bye, Mayo.
And Higgins will say a thing now.
Ah, man. Feliz cumpleaños.
Well, it's not our birthday. Well, it's Mayo's birthday, but it's our podiversary. How do you say that?
Feliz
My birthday is in September.
Podlianos.
Nice.